All right, with the Halo Championships right around the corner, Halo Studios is finally going to show us what they've been working on for this entire time they formed the studio. And this isn't going to be like a drama video of us speculating about all the weird stuff happening behind the scenes with leadership leaving and then possibly wanting to introduce AI for the studio. This isn't that. Those are other videos and other content creators make stuff like that. This is my dream wish list of what games I want to see Halo Studios actually make. Obviously, when the Halo Studios formation was announced, they showed off a lot of teaser trailer and a lot of prototype footage of the game that they're most likely working on right now, which is not a very big or well-kept secret. So besides that game, I want to give you guys a list of all the other games I'm hoping to see during the Halo World Championship announcement trailer. Obviously, we're also going to be doing this video unscripted. It's not a traditional video I usually make for this channel, but this is more of a Let's Play channel, less of a commentary / speculation type of channel. So I'm reading this pretty much off the cuff with no real script. I'm also doing this while sick, so if there's any stuttering or if there's any like weird gaps or train of thought losses while we're talking about this video, sorry. I'm not usually used to doing these kind of videos, but if you do enjoy this video when we get through the talking points later in this video, be sure to leave a like down below, be sure to subscribe, let me know if you agree with my opinions, let me know if my opinions are shit, because hey, you know what, I am a longtime Halo fan, but maybe as other games have come in and out of my life, maybe my opinion on what Halo should and shouldn't be is very different than yours. I think that Halo is one of my favorite franchises because the game and the genre and the lore behind the game is so great that you can do almost any kind of game with it, and people probably would be okay with it, honestly. So just let me know down below in the comment section. Obviously, the most likely game they're going to be making is going to be a Halo Combat Evolved remake, not a remaster like they did for the Anniversary Edition. That's pretty much a given, because all the footage they've showed us so far from the Halo Studios B-roll has just been assets from the Halo 1 games, either the environments, Master Chief, the elites, the armor, the look, the whole feel of the game just looks like it's going to be from the Halo 1. The remake is a very safe bet, just so they can bite their teeth on the IP in a way that seems really safe. The first game is probably the most beloved game out of the franchise just because it's the one thing that started it all. I don't know about you guys, but I first got into Xbox by buying that original Xbox, and the very first game I had for it was actually just that Halo 1 Combat Evolved. That's probably like one of my top 3 favorite franchises of like all time, just because of that game alone. So Halo 1 Anniversary, or I'm not even sure what they're going to call it, where just Halo 1 Combat Evolved remake is probably going to be the most likely culprit here for their games. The only thing that I'm hoping for from what they make their game for it to be different from the, let's say, the Anniversary Edition is I want them to include more stuff from the books. I think books need to play more of a relevant part in the game itself. I don't know if you guys know this, but Halo 1 is mostly based off of the Halo book called The Flood, which most of the dialogue is ripped straight from the books, and it's just added one-to-one for the games. There's a lot of other stuff that is happening in that book outside of what the Master Chief himself is doing. A lot of the Marines in that game who are setting up like survival bases around the ring also play a huge part in that game. Got to show a little bit more of what the Marines are doing, what the Master Chief is doing. The Covenant are also doing stuff there too. What we know from Halo 2 is that the Arbiter, he actually shows up in Halo 1, actually. He's the commander of the fleet that's actually, like, overseeing trying to hunt down the Pillar of Autumn. We can do a couple side missions of him as far as what he's doing. There's a lot of stuff we could include in the Halo 1 remake that can set it apart from the Halo 1 Anniversary remake, because why not? We should add more stuff to it. Unlike other people who are saying that Halo 1 needs to stay really pure, they don't want the sandbox, they don't want the weapon variety, the enemy variety to change, I, for one, am of the opinion that we need to add more to the Halo 1 remake. I think if you don't know, there's only like 8 guns in the entire game. There's like 3 Covenant weapons, there's 5 human weapons, there's 2 grenades. I mean, if you really want to include like the weapons you don't get to play with, like the fuel rod gun and the energy sword, I guess there's 10 weapons altogether. With that being said, we need a very expanded roster of a weapon sandbox. It was really cool for the time when it came back out in 2001, but weapon diversity needs to be looked at. I'm not a purist in the sense that I want to see just those guns in the game from Halo 1, the original to the Halo 1 remake. I really think we probably need to expand the weapon sandbox. I don't think anyone's going to deny that it probably needs a little bit of looking at. If they need some sort of tips or guidance as to what they need to do in order to make that sandbox a little bit better, The easiest comparison to look at is that Halo mod for the PC version. It's called Halo SPV 3.3, I think is what it's called. That adds a lot of stuff from Halo Reach and Halos 2 and Halo 3 into the Halo 1 sandbox. It's kind of like a modded version of the Halo 1 game. They just add a whole bunch of different enemy variety. They add a whole bunch of different weapons. It's one of those games that, like, when you've probably seen trailers for it. If you're a Halo fan at some point and you've been wanting to get your hands on it. However, that version of the game only exists for like the Halo Windows version, I believe. I think you could play it on the Halo Master Chief Collection if you have a special way of modding your game, but I'm just saying that that mod listing could be a good idea as to how the sandbox could evolve. Let's add stuff like that. That probably adds more modern movement mechanics like sprinting and mantling, dodging left to right. People might not like the advanced movement from the 343 era of games, but the Halo 1 engine itself makes the Master Chief look like a walking tank, and there is a place and a time for him to be a walking tank. We'll probably talk about that later in the video, but I would like him to have a expanded roster of stuff he gets to play with and stuff he gets to play against. So let's update weapon sandbox and the enemy variety for sure. The very first game that I'm thinking that they could actually announce is probably like a Halo Wars 3. I liked the RTS versions of the Halo games, Halo's Wars 1 and 2. I really like those a lot. I think if they announced a Halo Wars 3, most of the fan base is going to be like, you know what? That's pretty cool. I'm okay with the Halo Wars 3. As far as what it could be about, you could make it an unofficial sequel to Halo Infinite. Just talk about where the Spirit of Fire went after the end of Halo Wars 2, showing up during the events of Halo Infinite. The Halo Wars 3 campaign can literally just be about the Spirit of Fire helping out the Master Chief retake Zeta Halo and having them fight off the Banish off of the ring. It could be a way to wrap up that era of 343 games and their stories all together. We'll talk about those games later in this video, but I think that could be a way we could wrap that up. I think the 343 era of games has a lot of baggage and a lot of things people just don't want to see any more of. Halo Wars 3 could be a really safe entry into the RTS Halo Wars games, have it be a wrap up to the Halo 343 era of games. Just don't include loot boxes. Just give us a compelling story, a way that we can wrap up and tidy up everything at the end of the franchise. That's all you would have to do, and I think people would probably be okay. And no loot boxes this time, just keep it a very straightforward game. The next most likely game that they could make that I don't think the fan base would care all that much about would be probably like a Halo XCOM style, where it's like a turn-based strategy game. Basically, you're moving your characters on a chessboard, making them move all around the map, and they're fighting up against the enemy team. Basically, it'll probably be like the Covenant during the Human Covenant War. I think you could set up a lot of really cool scenarios with that type of game. I think Halo could probably lean into a turn-based strategy game. I think it's already like been a twin stick shooter. It's been an arcade light rail shooter. It's been an FPS. It's been an RTS. It hasn't been like a turn-based strategy game yet. Gears of War has their own version of their XCOM style game in the terms of like Gears Tactics. Halo can do the exact same thing. You can set it literally during the Human Covenant War, have it set as like a group of Marines, or even like the Spartans during their early days against the Covenant. Set up a lot of really cool mission scenarios. You can have this game be like the lead up into Halo Reach. You can even have the finale for the game to be just setting place on Reach and trying your best to defend the planet from the Covenant. Maybe you can be like a galaxy-wide spanning story where you're fighting against, well, not various different enemy factions, because it's probably going to take place during the Human Covenant War. It could take place during Halo 1. If you have it take place during Halo 1, you could have them fight against the Covenant, the Flood, and the Forerunners, like the Sentinels and stuff like that. That could be really interesting. I would think it would take place during the Covenant War, during the early days, just because that way you can give the Halo 1, 2, and 3 games their timeline a little bit of a breathing room. But if you really wanted to set it place during the events of Halo 1, that could work too. And again, if you really want to end those 343 era of games, you could have this set during the events of Halo Infinite too. Just have it set during that, have it be the unofficial ending to those 343 games too. I'm really trying to move away from those era of games just because we'll talk about it later. We'll just mention it later. I would also like a lot of customization options for that game. I would like to have mod support like the modern XCOM 2 has for Steam. There are so many different mods for that game. You can basically turn XCOM into Halo as far as have it be a Halo turn-based strategy game, but I would like something a little bit more official with a little bit more love and attention put into that game. The games are, that game style I really like a lot, and if it was a Halo themed game, man, I think that game would slap. While I don't think these games will ever be made just for one reason or the other, I do want to mention these as some honorable mentions in my opinion. These are games that Halo Studios could make at some point if they have the budget and the runway to actually craft a good game after their first couple projects are bangers. The first game obviously could be a Helldivers 2 / Halo game. Weirdly enough, the Halo Helldivers 2 Warbond crossover was unironically a banger. People jumped into that and bought that game with that Warbond right as they launched Helldivers 2 on the Xbox, and so many people played it, and it was unironically a very good game. I know way back in the day, Halo devs pitched this idea to Microsoft executives thinking that it might be a good idea. They shot it down, weirdly enough. And again, this Warbond in Helldivers 2 is like a weird, like, tongue-in-cheek, hey, look, this game could have done really good if you guys gave us the money kind of jab at those executives. And again, Arrowhead unironically made a really good Halo game just by including that Warbond and just you being able to cosplay as the Helldivers, as the ODSTs. It could be either you playing as an ODST, I mean, you're dropping in onto the maps in a drop pod, basically, in Helldivers 2, so you can just play as an ODST, or it can be from the perspective of Spartans. Your three enemy factions are the Covenant / Banished, the Flood, the Forerunners / Prometheans. Have this set during, again, the events of Halos 2 and 3. You're fighting against all three factions, basically, at that point. You're fighting against the Forerunners, you're fighting against the Covenant, you're fighting against the Flood. Have those guys, you know, mowing down waves and waves of enemies with, like, vehicle call-ins and stratagems and all that other cool stuff. I mean, Halo could really benefit for something like this. And again, Arrowhead, with this crossover, kind of showed that this unironically would be a really sick game to play as a character from the Halo universe. So why not just make a game like this? The last game I wanted to mention in this honorable mentions sort of section of the video is actually probably just a traditional Halo 7 sequel. I'm of the opinion that the Halo era of 343 games, their writing is all over the place, and I really don't care about what's happening in the story for Halos 4, 5, and 6. They do have their moments in each of those three games where there are compelling things that I want to know about what's happening for certain characters, but at the end of the day, there's so much baggage behind 343, there's so much baggage behind the poor writing and the weird design choices for those games, that most of the player base might just be okay just not revisiting those stories anymore. I know they're continuing those stories in the books. I know they're trying to continue those stories in the books, and they're trying to get the fan base to kind of rally behind those stories right now. But man, I just don't care. There are certain things I do like about those games, unironically. I do like how they make the Spartans feel like super soldiers. They really do make them look like a force of nature. They really do make them feel like they are very powerful. But the story is so weird. They couldn't just... I would have respected 343 way more if they had just stuck to their guns and just told a compelling story of AI versus humanity, but they flip-flop back and forth between Halos 5 and Infinite, and Halo Infinite's story is all over the place. And it's really cringe, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. All the cool stuff is happening off screen, and they're not even going to make any story DLC. That game is unofficially over at this point with the release of the Halo World Championship for this weekend, and when they announce the next era of Halo games. That's basically the nail in the coffin for the Halo Infinite storyline. We don't need to worry about that storyline anymore. If you really wanted to make a traditional Halo 7 sequel after the Halo remake, I don't know if I'd be too excited for that. I would kind of be like, I don't really want to continue the story. Let's just start the franchise over again, which is ultimately what I'm hoping for is happening with the Halo 1 remake. I'm hoping this is Halo Studios' way of unofficially rebooting the franchise. Just starting over from scratch, keep the OG Bungie's original vision for Halos 1, 2, 3 and Reach. Just expand on it, just add little tweaks and changes. Do not try to be like Halo 343 era games. Do not try to be like the Halo TV series where you're trying to make this into something completely different. That we definitely don't need. Just tweaks, very small changes here and there, and I promise you, you'll have bangers. But yeah, if you really wanted to make a Halo 7, just be really careful with that. You gotta be able to wrap it up. This Halo 7 would have to be the capstone on the Halo 343 games, and it has to like just wrap up all the loose plot lines, all the plot holes. Let's just get that story out of the way and just focus on remaking the original games. Besides the very obvious games they're making, my hopes for games that they could potentially make, given enough success on the Halo 1 remake, the honorable mentions that might get made someday, but I know probably never will. This section of the video is going to be the games I know for sure they're never going to make, just because these are like my dream games for the Halo franchise, and I don't think they would ever make them for one reason or the other. Too expensive, they're really worried that nobody would want to play them, but maybe they would have their own fan base, but we'll see. My first dream game is going to be something along the lines of like a Space Marines 2-esque Halo game where they're very linear stories. The campaign's going to be a very linear mission. Most of the Halo games are very linear missions to start with, but I want to get a very good sense of scale and size for the Spartans. In the books and in the lores, Spartans are supposed to be 7 feet tall, they're supposed to weigh like 1,000 pounds, and they're supposed to be head and shoulders taller than the rest of the humans. They're almost like a different species. And they're going up against hordes of enemies in the books. They're going up against literal squads, battalions of Covenant soldiers, and just mowing them down with ease. You could do like a small 3 to 4 player tactical squad of going up against hordes of the Covenant, the Flood, the Forerunners. Again, this stuff can take place anywhere between the early days of the Covenant War to like the Halos 2 and 3, where you're playing as, you know, red team or blue team or any of the other Spartan 2 soldiers, just mowing through enemies. It doesn't have to be super bloody and gory like it is in the Space Marine 2 games, but I would like it's almost like Strikes from the Destiny universe, where you're very linear, story-driven missions, and you're fighting up against waves of enemies. And again, you get a sense of this power and the sense of this like scale with the Spartans when you're playing against these enemies. You're taller than the rest of them. You're shoulder-checking guys. If you run into like a group of grunts, you're gonna ragdoll them because again, you're 1,000 pounds. You're basically like a small car running into these guys. I want a game that kind of gives me a sense of scale and a sense of being a super soldier. For all the things that you want to say about 343, they at least did one thing that was really cool in my opinion, and they showed off that the Spartans could be a force of nature, and they showed off that they could be super soldiers. And they really showed that off at the beginning of the Halo 5 Guardians. Again, whatever you want to say about that game, fine. But if Fireteam Osiris was replaced with Blue Team at the very beginning of the Halo 5 campaign, and you saw Blue Team absolutely just mowing through these Covenant forces, man, that would have been awesome. And I feel like we need a game that's like that. Your 4 Spartans absolutely tearing through the Covenant or the Flood or the Forerunners / Prometheans, and you're just... I would love a game like that. There has to be customization options like they have in Space Marines 2, but each character has to have their own specific class. There's classes of Spartans. There's like your heavy, there's your assault, your recon, your sniper, your, you know, support characters, something like that. You know what I'm saying? Just something to diversify all of the different squad mates you have on your squad. They can even be just named characters from the lore. You can just have like somebody playing as Master Chief, someone playing as Kelly, someone playing as Will, someone playing as Sam. And all of those characters have their own distinct power sets, and they have their own distinct like special abilities for their Spartan class. All the Spartans usually did get different unique things about their armor sets that kind of built on what their specialization was during their training. So that's stuff from the lore as well, from the books too. You can lean into stuff like that. So maybe that would be a really cool game. I don't know if anybody would hate that game like that. I think people would think like, yeah, that's really cool. But again, I think that 343, Bungie, Halo Studios, those kind of companies are scared to make that kind of game because it's not really Halo. Halo is more of like a first-person arena shooter, and this is more of like a third-person arcade kind of game. So Halo in third person, I don't know if they'd go for that. Obviously, you'd want to be in third person in order to fight those hordes and hordes of enemies like they do in Space Marines 2, but, you know, you just never know. It could work someday. Just don't know who's going to be brave enough to pitch that idea and for the executives to actually approve it. My very last dream game we have for the Halo franchise is a game that, again, I don't think is ever going to get made because, yes, it's an extraction shooter, but hold on, stick with me here. It's not a PvP extraction shooter, it is only a PvE extraction shooter, E as in player versus environment. You basically have a team of 50 players, all dropping in on, let's say, like a Halo ring, and everyone's trying to extract with loot from the map, gather resources as a team. You're fighting against the again, environment. In this case, it's just AI, enemies. This would, as far as the setting, as far as like the story and stuff behind that, I'm not sure what it would be around. I've always had this idea of like a Halo game where everyone is trying to extract from a map. They're taking on, roaming patrols of enemies, whether it's the Flood, the Forerunners, the Covenant, the Banished. You're trying to kill those enemies. You're trying to gather supplies, gather better weapons, gather better loot. You're trying to get to a special point on the map, and you're trying to extract with all of your stuff. Maybe there's one overarching sort of objective where it's like defend the civilians, detonate the bomb, launch the ship or something like they have in Helldivers. It's basically just Helldivers 2, but on a much larger scale. There's no PvP element to this. It's just you working with the other players in your lobby, working together to try to get out of this map, trying to complete the main objective. The things that would set this apart from other PvP extraction shooters is that, yes, it's PvE, but also at random in the lobby, out of the maybe 50 players that are there, 5 players would be randomly selected as, hey, you are the Spartan playing right now. You are the super soldier, you are the hero, you're going to be the badass for this lobby. While the traditional players have the basic abilities of being able to run and shoot, dodge, all that good stuff, Spartans are, again, they tower over your teammates. They are standing right next to you. They look badass fighting with you on the front lines. They get to have those badass cinematic moments. And again, everyone gets to play as one of these Spartans at some point because you're randomly selected to play as a Spartan. You never know when you're going to be in a lobby and you're randomly going to be told, like, hey, you're the Spartan, you're the hero for this. And people who are normally not very good at these kind of games, if they're randomly selected as the hero for the lobby, that could really be a nice moment for a player who's not really good at these extraction shooter games or not really good at FPS games in general. And they're just like, hey, you get to be the hero for this section. Everyone's going to be looking to you for helping them out with stuff like this. And then maybe some of the pickups on the maps can be, extra lives. If you die during the match, you can respawn as an ODST. You'll literally just drop in as a Helldiver, and you'll just jump out of your ODST pod. You'll come out in ODST armor. The rest of your teammates will know, like, hey, that guy died, but he respawned as an ODST with, like, better gear and better equipment. Maybe there could even be other Spartan pickups on the map. Maybe you're just exploring the map, trying to gather your loot, trying to gather better survival options and survival tools. You come across a respawn beacon that's a Spartan respawn beacon, and if you die, you drop in as a Spartan all of a sudden. I think that'd be really cool. Again, I don't think this game's ever going to get made. It just seems really hard to make a game like this. I don't think anyone's going to sign off on a PvE extraction shooter only. The marketplace is already saturated with a bunch of extraction shooters. They're probably making a Halo extraction shooter right now, honestly. I know they were trying to do that for Halo Infinite's life cycle, but it's probably just PvP only. They don't believe in PvE games. They want those super sweaty lobbies, those super exciting moments. But I'm of the opinion that if you have just a PvE lobby where it's low stakes, you're just having fun with either friends or just randoms, there's no, super high skill ceiling. You just jump in, play for a couple hours, and jump out, kind of like in Helldivers 2. I think it could be a good game. Again, I don't know what the story will be about. I don't know how the gameplay balancing with stuff like that would happen, but I would like to see a PvE Halo extraction game where you can just drop in as a Spartan, an ODST. You're playing against the 3 different factions as far as it's like the Halo Forerunners. Maybe as the map shrinks, if you're playing against the Forerunners, they put up like a laser grid that kind of kills you if you're in the area. You're playing against the Flood. The Flood spore clouds are moving in, and if you're caught in the cloud, you're infected and you turn into a zombie. And if you're playing against, the Covenant, they're glassing the planet as you go and as you're moving throughout the map. And again, everyone has to kind of converge on the extraction point and defend themselves against the hordes of enemies that are coming to kill them. And then if you get to extract with your loot, you'll have better loot to drop in with during the next match. That sounds like a cool game to me. Alright guys, well, that's all I got for this video. This is a very different type of video, obviously, so if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like down below. Let me know if I'm right about my game predictions. Let me know if I'm wrong about my takes on some of these games as well. This is a very different video from what we're used to. I'm also sick. I'm also just making this off the cuff. I'm not really used to making these kind of videos, and I'm actually kind of nervous putting this out there for you guys. But again, if you guys like the video, let me know down below. Tell me if I'm right, tell me if I'm wrong. I just wanted to make this. I knew I needed to get this out there. Something in my heart of hearts told me that if I don't get this out there as a Halo fan, I'm going to regret it for a long time. And plus, I would like to see maybe somebody's watching this out there somewhere who has the ability to whisper something into the Halo Studios executives' ears and be like, hey, look at this guy. He might have a good idea for a future Halo game. Yeah. Anyways, guys, I'll see you guys on the next one.